I asked the ladies from the Country Women's Association in Victoria what their favourite slice recipe was. And they gave me the recipe for the Amy Johnson slice. Now, I hadn't heard of Amy Johnson before, but she was the first female pilot to fly from Britain to Australia in 1930. And they made this recipe in honour of her. So it's really quite special to Australia's history. Now there's 4 layers to this slice. The first is the pastry base, which I've already rubbed together. It's about 1 cup of self-raising flour with 60 grams of butter. And I've just worked that together with my hands to make it nice and crumbly. And I'm gonna add in some milk to bring the pastry together. Let's give it a good stir. Now this is quite a rich pastry base, with lots of butter. So it's almost like a cake. Now I've got my baking tray, which I've lined with Maltex Bake already, non-stick. I'm gonna place the pastry into the base of my pan. Just get all the pastry in there. And then grab another slice of bake, press it on top, and then just use my hands to flatten out the pastry base. So that's come out nicely. So spread across the tray and peel that back now. And I'm going to spread on the second layer. So I'm using some raspberry jam, but any nice tart jam will do. Something like apricot would also work. So I'm just going to spread that over the pastry base. You might have a nice homemade jam from summer that you've preserved in your pantry. Next, I'm going to add some dried currants. Now, on the original recipe, there weren't quantities, so I've just added quite a few here, just for loads of flavour. Okay, and finally, desiccated coconut. Sprinkle that over the currants and the jam. Nice bit of texture as well into the slice. The third layer is a simple cake batter, which I've already made up, just with the usual ingredients that you find in a cake batter: butter, sugar, milk, eggs. So I'm going to pour this on top and gently spread it out. So this will be easier if you have a metal spatula, and just spread the cake batter evenly across the pan. Just trying to get it nice and even and as smooth as possible. Right. Now I'm going to cover this with some bake, just so that it doesn't overcolour, so it's a nice even colour. And I've preheated my oven to about 170 degrees. Now the original recipe said a moderate oven, because back in the 1930s you couldn't really control your oven temperature. But I think about 170 should be okay. Just keep a close eye on it when it's baking. So the slice has been cooling out of the oven for about an hour. It's nice and golden, smelling yummy. I'm going to slice this up first before I put on the final layer, which is some gorgeous lemon icing. So just using a sharp knife, just cut down the center of the slice. Then I'm just going to slice some finger lengths, so maybe 2 fingers, 3 fingers across. So you can see the lovely layers there. We've got the pastry base, the jammy layer, and then the nice spongy fluffy top, the cake. I'm gonna pop it on here. And I hope I've done the CWA proud. Last slice. And finally, to finish our beautiful Amy Johnson slice, the last layer, the icing on the top, if you will. Now, we've got some lemon icing that I've already mixed up. And just a good little tip, if you've got your runny icing, you can pop your piping bag into a little bowl and then fill the piping bag with icing. That way it just doesn't get everywhere. Now, just so that you can control this a little bit more, using a piping bag is great to ice a slice or a cake. And just snip the end just a few millimeters in, not too much. Okay. And ice away. So when you make this slice, you'll know you'll be eating one of CWA's finest. And one last thing, just a little lemon zest.